Muted.
This is Vikram. Can you all hear me? Please confirm once. Yeah. Thanks, Verity. Thanks, Kavita. Yeah, let's get started. Thanks, you. So yesterday we saw selection statements. Today we'll continue the control statements with our iteration statements. Okay. So today we will see while statement, do while, for and for each statement. And yesterday we saw if statement, that is our selection statement, if else, if, and switch statements. Before we continue with our iteration statements, so we'll see an example of switch statement. Okay, so here is the example. Of a switch statement. What I have done is just taken an example of like yesterday we were discussing, right? What happens if you don't use break statement, right? So this is a perfect example for the break statement. Okay, so what is the objective here is we will give one particular month. Okay, starting from first one. Okay, one is Jan and 12 is December. Okay, so based on the month we will decide what is the season. Okay, so if it is December, Jan and Feb it is winter, and March, April, May spring, June, July, August it's summer, and then September, October, November it's a fall. Okay, that's what we have taken. If we enter anything other than this 1 to 12, it says invalid month. Please try again. Okay, so this is our switch statement. This whole statement is our switch statement. Let us print. So out of switch statement. So what I have taken is integer, a month. Okay, can you all see my screen? Can you all see my screen? Okay, so you understood the logic, right? So first three, that is 12, 1 and 2, it's winter. 3, 4, 5, it's spring. 6, 7, 8, it is summer, and then 9, 10, 11, it is fall. Okay, you can try with the characters also. It's up to you. I mean, you can try with characters, so whichever the logic that you want to implement. Okay, so here we have implemented with the integers. So here I have taken 11. So let us try to execute and see whether it displays accurate result. Okay, so 11 is what? 11 is our fall. Okay, the season says it's fall. Okay, you can also print okay, it also displays the month. Okay, and now if we execute, it says September or October or November, that is your fall. And then once this particular statement is executed, once one particular case is selected, okay, one set of case is selected, the sequence of statements that are under those cases, right, they get executed, and we will break out of the switch statement. Okay, we will break out of, yeah, we'll break out of the switch statement. Yes, Kavita, correct. So we'll break out of the switch statement, and then the immediate statement, which is which follows the switch statement, gets executed, as you can see here. Okay, so one particular sequence of statements is selected based on the case. So as we have discussed yesterday, if you don't give break, okay, if you don't give break, the execution if you don't give break, the execution follows through like this. Okay, so for the options here selected are the option. So we are saying like for December, Jan and Feb, right? For December, Jan and Feb, it should be winter. We should show that as winter. For March, April, May, it should be now spring, and other it follows as like that. Okay. So what happens if you put break here? Okay. So if we enter 12, let us try to do that one. Okay. So what happens if we try to okay. So I have entered December. Okay. And now December does not belong to any of the season, right? So it broke out of this particular case. So it matched this particular constant, that is your literal case. Okay, this particular case it matched, and then it executed this particular statement, and then it broke out of this switch statement. Okay, otherwise what is happening? If it comes statements, it follows through 12, 1 and 2. It follows through 12, 1 and 2. It follows through 12, 1 and 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, right? So until it encounters particular break statement, it keeps following through the cases, and then it breaks out of the switch statement and executes the statement which immediately follows the switch statement. Okay. So let us continue with the rest, the loop statements. Okay, today we'll discuss about the iteration statements. So Java provides three iteration statements, that is while, for, and do while. So we'll start with the while statement. So these iteration statements, as we have discussed the basics while discussing our for loop, they repeat a set of instructions or a single instruction based on a particular condition. Okay, if that is called as termination condition. If the condition is the loop is executed, we say the set of statements as the body of loop. Okay, if that based on the condition, based on the output of or the result of this condition, it will usually be a Boolean expression. Okay, it will usually be a Boolean expression. So based on this result of this Boolean expression, the loop, body of the loop executes, or it comes, or it terminates the loop. Okay, so let us start with the while loop. So this is the most fundamental loop that is available in Java. Okay, so as we know, based on the expression, value of the expression, if the expression is true, the loop executes. Otherwise, we will exit out of the particular loop. So what is the syntax? The syntax is, it starts with the keyword while. Okay, this is the keyword, and then we have a condition. So as we just discussed, it's a Boolean expression. It's a Boolean expression. So the value should be either true or false. The expression's value should be either true or false. Okay, then what happens? Our block of statements starts. This block of statements, I mean, if you have only one statement, you need not have to use your flag brackets or curly braces. Okay. So whatever the statement that you specify, that is called as body of loop. Okay. So how does this particular while loop executes? So here you see that the condition is at the beginning of your while statement, right? The condition is at the beginning of your while statement. So what happens first? The condition, which is a Boolean expression, first it gets executed. First the condition gets executed. Okay. First the condition gets executed based on the value or Boolean value of this condition. It is decided whether to enter the loop or execute the set of statements that belongs to this particular while loop or not. So note that as this particular condition is at the beginning of the statement, there may be a situation like the condition may fail for the first time itself. Okay, say for example, I have A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 20. Okay, I have A is equal to 10 and B is equal to 20. So if I say, if I ask is A greater than B? No, this is wrong. So in that case, we will not enter this while loop at all. So any statement that is after this while statement gets executed and we will this particular loop at all. None of the statements that are specified in this particular loop are executed. Okay. So what we told, like curly braces are not necessary for single statements. Okay, curly braces are not necessary for single statement. So how long does this, if the first condition, I mean, if you are entering and the condition results in true, how long this particular condition, I mean, while loop executes? Okay, so as long as this particular condition is true, okay, as long as this particular condition is true, the while loop executes. As long as the condition is true, the while loop executes. As soon as the condition becomes false, we will execute, we will exit out of the for loop or while loop, and then the statement that follows immediately after while loop will get executed. This particular statement will get executed. Okay. So is it necessary for us to have this particular block of statement? Okay, that is also optional. Okay. So wherever you, I mean, in Java, you might have seen, I might have written two semicolons, right? Like this. After a statement, I would have written 2 semicolons. So this belongs to one particular statement. Okay, but this does not belong to any statement. This is called as your null statement. Okay, and just by semicolon, null statement. Okay, so it does nothing, but it is perfectly valid in Java. Okay, so null statements are perfectly valid, or null statements are valid in Java. Okay, so without the body, how will you write? This is how you can write. Okay, this is how you can write without the body. Okay, so this is the null statement. Okay, so null statement is nothing but your semicolon. Okay, let us see an example of while statement. So as I mentioned, I mean, we are taken 2 integers and I'm testing whether A is equal to A is less than B. I'm just checking is A less than B. That is what my question is with this condition. Okay, with this relational operator, if A is less than B, I will get true. Okay, the result will be true. So this particular loop will, this particular set of statements will get executed. Okay, these are all simple examples that I am showing. You can try with the little complicated scenarios as well. Okay, so these are all just for our testing. If you have any questions, please send an email to Intuition Okay, intuition, I don't know how many of you can read it. Intuition.javatraining@gmail.com. Okay, so you can okay, you can try. Yeah, you can send an email to this one. Okay. So here, what is the question that I'm asking? Is A less than B? Okay. Is A less than B? That is the question. So is 10 less than 20? Yes. Okay. So it enters the loop. Okay. So it prints A and B. Then what it does? It increments A and decrements B. Okay. At some point, A will be greater than B. Okay. At some point, A will be greater than B because we are incrementing A and decrementing B. Okay, we are doing both, incrementing A and then decrementing B. So at some point A will be greater than B. That is when the condition of this, that is when the condition of your for loop, that is when the condition of this for loop becomes false. Okay, when the condition becomes false, we will exit out of while loop. We'll exit out of this particular while loop. So what exactly happens after that? Once we exit out of while loop, the statement immediately after the while loop will get executed, or the program execution continues as expected. I mean normally. Okay, it executes normally. Okay. Okay, let us try to. Did everyone understand this logic? While loop. So initially A and B will be 10 and 20. Next A will become 11 and B 19, 12, 18, 13, 17, 14 and 16. Okay, 14 and 16 are executed. But after 14 and 16, A becomes 15, B becomes 15. Okay, when A is equal to 15 and B is equal to 15, when A is equal to 15 and B is equal to 15, what is the result of the condition? Is 15 less than 15? Is 15 less than 15? Yes, Karika, false. Yeah, no, it is false. So once this statements, this A and B becomes 15, the condition becomes false, and then we come out of the while loop, and then this particular statements get printed out of while loop. Okay, this particular statements got printed. Yes, Kavita. Pawan Kumar is asking a question. Print. Okay, so he is telling print the statement directly. I mean the statement that is immediately after print statement. I mean the while statement, right? That gets executed. That's what you are also telling, right, Pawan? Yeah. So that is how the logic of while loop works. Okay. Let us move on to the next slide. So here we will see do while loop. So we just saw a while loop. Excuse me. And we will continue with the do while loop. So do while loop, the syntax for do and while loop is it starts with do keyword. Okay, do keyword, and then body of the loop. We will mention the body of the loop within flower brackets. As usual, it is and only one is there. We can this thing. So we have excuse me, I have some. Okay, so then after the flower bracket closes, that is your block of statement. Your while you provide a condition after while keyword. Okay, you provide a conditional statement or conditional expression after while. Okay, so here what is happening? If you have noticed what is happening here. So we are testing the condition at the end of the do statement. Okay, we are testing the condition at the end of do statement. So what does that mean? What does that mean? So say for example, the condition for the first loop itself, for the first iteration itself, the condition becomes false. But the condition is tested after all these statements are executed first. Okay, after all these statements are executed, the condition becomes false. That is why at least once the body of loop is executed. At least once the body of loop is executed. So that is whenever you need whenever you come across a situation where you need to execute a set of statements at least once before testing the condition, you should use your do loop statement. Okay, but in case of while statement, as we saw, in case of while statement, the condition is tested first. That is why if the condition is false for the first time itself, none of the statements get executed, or the body of the loop itself is not executed. Okay, whereas in case of do, at least once the body of the loop is executed or set of statements. Executed. Okay. So here also, as we mentioned, or as we have been seeing, the condition must be a Boolean expression. It should be either the expression, even if you specify an expression, the result should be either true or false. Okay, the result should be either true or false. Okay. Okay. Next, move on to, let's see an example of do while. Okay. Okay. So here we have a program. Okay. So we accept two integers, and we do either addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division based on the choice we select. Okay, the choices are 1. If you enter 1, this is the choice. If you enter 1, 2 numbers are added. Okay, if you enter 2, subtracted. Okay, multiplication and division. Okay, that is what is this particular program has. So if we enter greater than 4 or less than 0, this will say like it is an invalid choice. Okay. So what it is entering? Enter a choice. I will enter 1, 2 numbers, 1 and 2. So it gives 3, the sum. Okay, sum of 2 and 3. So if I enter now, enter your choice. 7. So it should be 1 and 2. Enter your choice. Okay, so this should be and. Okay. Zero. Invalid, out of loop. Okay. So because I've entered number 5, which is invalid, that is why it showed out invalid choice. Please try again and out of loop. Okay. So but the choice we are selecting based on our switch statement. Here we have given as previously we have selected 12 numbers, right? 1 to 12. Here we have given only 1 to 4 choices or cases, and then the default statement is there. Okay, if none of these things match, default statement gets executed, and then we will move out of this particular this one. What is that? Switch statement and then while statement. Okay. Okay. So any doubts, any questions or any doubts related to do while and while? Okay, so let us move on to the next one, that is for loop. Okay, we have already seen the for loop, right? How it works, and we have seen how it can be used. So in a number of times, right? So as we have seen, it is used to repeat a set of statements, specific number of times. Okay, the syntax is like this. It starts with the keyword for. Okay, and then you'll have parentheses. In the parentheses, you will have the initialization condition, the condition which tests your loop control variable, and then iteration, either increment or decrement the loop control variable to control this particular loop. Okay, so how does this particular statement gets executed? Initially, this particular expression, it can be an expression, or it can be like you declare it, right? Int I is equal to 0. Okay, it can be an declaration itself. Okay, declaration and initialization. Okay, so you do not have to kind of like initialize or declare it here itself. You can declare here, and then you can initialize it here, or you can declare and initialize here outside of it, and just put a comma and then provide condition and then iterate it. Okay, once this initialization statement is executed, one more important thing is this initialization statement is executed only once. Okay, then the whole loop is controlled with these two statements, that is condition and iteration. So once this initialization statement is done, the condition is tested. Okay, this is for initializing loop control variable. Initializing loop control variable. Okay, then this particular condition, it also has to be Boolean expression. Okay, this also has to be Boolean expression. Okay, so here what we are going to do, we will test loop control variable with a specific value. So when the test is true, as long as the condition of this particular or result of this test is true, the loop is executed. Okay, otherwise we will exit out of this particular loop, and the statement immediately following this particular loop is executed, or the program execution continues. Okay, so in this iteration, we either increment or decrement the loop control variable. Okay, let us see an example of this one. Okay, so just now we saw while loop, right? So just now we saw while loop. So we have used what two variables, right? Two variables to control this loop. Okay, one we have incremented and another one we have decremented. Let us try to see whether we can do the same thing with for loop. Okay, whether we can do the same thing with for loop. But remember, yes, we will discuss that. Sure, correct. We will discuss that one. Okay. He is telling there is an enhanced form of for loop that we will discuss that. Okay. Okay, so what we are testing here? We are testing for loop. Okay, so what we will do here is we will eliminate all these things. We will remove all these things. Okay, then we will use for. Okay, so I have already initialized these two things here. Okay, so initialization statement I don't need. So, but there should be three statements, right? One, initialization, then test condition, and then you should have iteration, right? You should have iteration. So what I will do, the condition what I want is A is, as long as A is less than B, continue this statement. Okay, what I will do, I will increment A plus plus. Okay, and then I will print A comma B, A comma B. Okay, and what I will do, I will decrement B here. Okay, so let's try to execute this one. Okay, we got the same for statement. So we got the same result, right? So the next value is 15, 15. So that is when your loop comes out of it. So is there any other way to implement this statement? Is there any other way we can do this statement? Can anyone tell, or can anyone type whether we can do it in any other way, this particular thing? Okay, so let me try that other way. Okay, what I will do here is, and 20. Okay, and then I less than B, I plus plus comma J minus minus. Okay, I comma J. Okay, so this way also we can implement that the above statement, right? For loop. Right. So what we are doing here, we are using comma operator. Okay, comma operator we are using here to separate the statement. So this need not have to be like what we are telling. So here we can have A comma B. No, it's already declared, right? We need not have to declare that again. So A plus plus B minus minus. Okay, and then we can have like this also. Okay, and A is less than B. Okay, this is a complex expression, right? So I'm just showing how you can, you need not have to stick to one particular, I mean, here what I'm trying to show here is, here I have declared two variables, right? Here I have declared two variables, and I'm using actually 4 variables to control this for loop, right? I'm using 4 variables to control this for loop. Here what I did, I used only 2 variables, A and B. Okay, here I'm using 4 variables to control this for loop. Okay, 2 declared outside of the second for loop, 2 declared inside of the second for loop. Okay, and I am using the all 4 variables. Okay, all control variables to control this for loop. And what is the condition? This need not have to be only one. Okay, you are using for, you can use all the 4 variables or whichever the condition you want. Okay, that again depends on your scenario, right? So it need not have to be like only 2 variables. It can be a complex Boolean expression. Okay, which the only condition is it should be a Boolean expression. The result output should be true or false. Okay, let us try to execute this and see. Okay, so why we got only one? Why we got only one? Can anyone tell why we got only one? We were expecting to print these values also, right? We're expecting to print these values also. Can anyone tell why we got why we were not able to display I and J? Yeah, Pawan wants to tell. Yeah, Pawan. Yeah, go ahead, Pawan.
No, actually, can you tell me the value of B?
No, that's what. No, you can see this, right? Whole program I will show you.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see the whole program. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. The problem is, I mean, like, I think, I mean, this condition, no, I mean, like, J.
Oh, sorry. Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second.
Should be I, right?
Yeah. So let us try to execute this. Okay, I made a mistake. So even with that, it will get to C. Even with that, we'll not be able to see I and J. So what is the reason? So Kavita is telling the condition is not satisfied. Okay. Did you get any? Did you? Can it? I mean, did you get that point, Pawan? Otherwise, I'll give a chance to Kavita to speak. Just try one.
Okay. I guess the A less than B, the A less than B context is not fulfilled.
Why?
I mean, we are, I mean, like, we're incrementing A, right here?
Where are we incrementing A?
I mean, for in this condition, in the first for. No, no, after
in
that.
The first part. Okay.
The first for,
okay.
we are incrementing A. Okay, we are not giving, I mean, like, it's incremented to an extent where we, I mean, like,
okay. Okay.
Okay.
So let us say what is the value. Okay. So why that particular condition did not satisfy? I is always less than J. Yeah, I is always less than J, but we are incrementing I and J is minus, right? I here. So what exactly, which particular condition is not getting satisfied? This condition, right? Because we are saying and, right? We are saying and condition. So what this particular expression says is this condition like I should be less than J and A should be less than B. Both the conditions should be satisfied, right? Yeah, he is correct. He is telling correct. So I should be less than J and A should be less than B. Okay, A should be less than B. But what exactly happens in this case? I is initialized to 10 and J is initialized to 20, and then this particular condition gets executed. Okay, evaluated for the result. Is I less than J? Of course, I is less than J, right? And we should always remember this is and. Okay, and is A less than B? We are asking that question, right? Is A less than B? Is A less than B? So what is the values of A and B after the for loop gets executed? First for loop. After first for loop gets executed, what is the value? It is A is equal to 15 and B is equal to 15. Because here we are incrementing A and decrementing B, and when A becomes 15, B will also be 15, and this condition fails. This for condition, this A less than B condition fails because 15 is not less than 15. They are equal. right? So that values, what we are doing, we are incrementing. That is why the value changes inside A, right? Whatever the value of A, that changes and remains there only, right? When we increment and decrement. Okay, so that is why when we try to print the values of A and B after this for loop, it prints 15 and 15, not 10 and 20, right? Not 10 and 20. A and B will have 15 and 15. That is why even though this particular condition satisfies, this condition fails. And we have AND condition. So it is like our normal English, right? I want this and that. I want this and that. I don't want only one. I want this and that. Both, right? Here also it is like that only. I want both these conditions to be satisfied, not single condition. I want both conditions. Okay, this condition and this condition. Because this particular condition is not satisfied, it is not at all entering the body, loop body. Okay, so let us make this like this, OR condition. Okay, let us make this OR condition. Is I less than j true? Since this is a short circuit, OR condition, the output will be true. It will not evaluate this particular expression at all. Okay, let us try to see the output. Okay, now we can see this values, right? Now we can see the values 10, 20, 11. Okay, so interesting thing, let us try to print so does it look like messy? No, right? So A is equal to 15, 15, okay, 14, 16. The values of A and B are changing, but that condition is never tested at all. As long as this particular condition returns true. Only when this particular condition becomes false, it goes and tests this condition. But it will always be, A will always be greater than, that condition is also false. From the beginning, this condition is false, right? From the beginning, when we enter this particular statement, from the start, okay, from the start it will be 15, 15. So that means A is not equal to B, okay. So A is less than B, okay. So the second statement, A is 16 less than 14, no, that time it will become true. But again, only this particular expression is evaluated. As long as I is less than J is true, this condition it gets executed. Whatever the statements within the body is executed, and then when this becomes false, or it should have shown that also, right? This condition will be true. Is A less than B? No, this is also false. A is 19 less than 11? No, that is false, right? So both the cases, when both the cases are false, it comes out of second for, and then it prints the statement, this statement out of second for. Okay, understood? Did everyone understand? So main intention here is, yeah, I'll come to you, Hali. The main intention here is, we have seen simple conditions here, right? We have seen simple conditions in this case. It can be, you can put the same condition in do while. Okay, here also. Yeah, we have used this particular conditions here, right? While similar to that one, you can use the same condition here also, like that. Okay. So Ali is asking. No, I did not get you, Ali. So what Ali is asking? Yeah, you can ask your question. What is your question? I did not get your doubt. You can speak, Ali. So he's asking whether the first for loop will execute if you copy the code or condition from second statement. Is that the question you are asking, Ali? Yeah. So what Ali is asking is, will the second code executes if we, in the first for loop executes, if we try to copy this condition to this one. Okay. So that is what is the question is. But what we need to do is, in J is okay. So we'll not type J is equal to 10. Sorry. Let us make this. J is equal to 20. Okay. Or you can do this way also. Okay, we'll do that later. So here we don't need to declare these things. Okay. Do you want to use? Do you want to increment and decrement these values? Let us try. This will become an infinite loop. So let us stop this. You people think why that is executing infinitely, and then let me know in next class. Okay. So why that is executing infinitely? Okay, and then let me know. So this is an interesting question. Okay, this is an interesting question. So that is executing, like we did not stop unless until I manually interpreted, terminated it, right? So note down this question. Okay, I'll just copy paste it. Copy and paste. Note down that and tell me why that first for loop is executing, or whichever the for loop which is executing, right, continuously. Let me know why that is executing continuously in our next class. Okay. So let us continue our topic of loops. Okay. So let us go to the next topic. So yeah, that's what whatever we discussed earlier, right? The same thing is noted here, pointed here. So initialization statement is executed first, and it is executed only once during the execution of your loop. Okay. Then why do we use that initialization statement? To set or initialize the loop control variable. So next, what will execute? The condition will be evaluated. This must be a Boolean expression. Okay. The test, what it does, it tests the control variable against a specific value, and if the condition is true, body of the loop is executed. The condition is false, loop is terminated. Here also, if for the first time, okay, for the first time, if the condition is false, okay, if the condition is false, the statements within the for loop are not at all executed. Okay, similar to our while loop, but do is different. At least once the body is executed, and then the condition is evaluated, because the condition comes after the body of the loop is executed. Okay. So the loop executes until the condition is true. Until the condition is true, or as soon as the condition becomes false, we will exit out of for loop. Okay. So next we have something called as the for each loop. Okay, for each loop. So this one, yeah, this one like we used to do. We used to do something called as I've studied something called as VLSI. I'm not sure whether you have heard of this one. Okay, in VLSI it is nothing but like a very large scale integrated systems. Okay, chips. Okay, so that is when we used to study some languages called HDLs. Okay, this is nothing but hardware description languages. Hardware description languages. So one of the hardware description languages is Verilog, and there is one more, VHDL. This V I don't know. This is the hardware description language, and this is also, it is similar to your C language. Okay, so this one is kind of like a bit kind of like a odd kind of language, but that is when I saw this for each loop for the first time. Okay, we will see this for each loops in many other languages also, but for the first time I saw in this, I think it is in VHDL. In VHDL when I was studying VHDL. So here also in Java also we have something called as enhanced for loop. Okay, so as we discussed, not exactly we did not discuss this particular thing. So what exactly happens with this enhanced for loop is, you can see only like we don't have initialization, we don't have your incremental part, or we don't have the condition at all. Okay, so what it actually does is it actually works on a collection of objects. Okay, we will see how what are this what do you mean by this or what do we mean by this collection of objects when we discuss collections. Okay, but here let us concentrate on one particular type, that is arrays. Okay, collection of objects. Arrays are, as we discussed, arrays are implemented as objects in Java. Immediately after this, right, we will have one more class, that is we will discuss about bitwise operators, operator precedence, right? Immediately after that, we will move on to object-oriented programming. We'll start with classes, okay? And from then onwards, it will be really interesting. But before that, I want you to spend some time during this weekend to brush up all the basic things, okay? All the basic things till now we have discussed. Please spend some time so that we will not face any issues when we are discussing about classes, objects, all those things, okay? So we can kind of like try to do some complicated programs during the class. Okay, if you have a good grip on basics, right, you can try to do some good programs. Okay, so what where we can apply this enhanced for loop or for each statement, enhanced for or for each, we can apply to a collection of objects. So arrays are nothing but your elements, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So we have seen how to kind of like iterate through an array and access individual elements in one of our previous class, right? So what we used to do, we used to kind of like have array.length as control variable or test condition. Array.length is, the control variable is tested against array.length for the condition, and then we used to iterate through a control statement. Iterate through an array using control statement, right? Iterate through an array using control statement. So what we used to do is, let me write that one here. So say for example, I have int I is equal to new int of 5 elements. Okay. For this, what I used to do, is equal to 0 because the index starts with 0, and yeah, Tina is asking in our previous example, Tina is asking, why did you not increase or decrease I and j? So that is an interesting question, Tina. So just Ali asked me to copy paste the condition and see what exactly happens. That's why I just copy pasted and I did not increment and decrement it. Okay. So you can, it actually it works. If you increment and decrement it, obviously it works. That was not the initial objective, right? So we just had two for loop statements, and then he just wanted to test what exactly happens, whether it works or not. That is, then I just copy pasted that particular condition from second statement to first statement. That's it. Okay. J less than I dot length. Okay, and j plus plus, and we used to print what is that, I of j. Okay, this is what we used to do. But with the enhanced for loop, all these complications are not at all required. But remember, this applies only for your collection of objects, set of objects, okay, set of objects. Okay, it works on set of objects. So in this case, the same thing, whatever we have written here, we can write it just like this. For int j colon, we have a colon here, okay, then collection. Just mention the name of your array, then print it, int j. That's it. Do you see how simple it becomes with this enhanced for loop compared to this one? Right? It is very simple. So only thing is you should remember this particular syntax. So it is similar to our previous for loop. The only thing is you should have a collection here. Arrays are also like collection of objects only. Okay, in Java. Okay. So what is this type? We have colon here, and we have to declare a variable here. What is the type of that variable that we declare? So say for example, if I have int a, okay, this is our collection here. A is our collection, and this is the type of element that we can store in an array A. Type of elements that we can store in A. That is the type of elements that we can store in array A. So what exactly happens with this? The type of this array should be the type of this variable. Okay, what exactly happens is, internally what exactly happens, say for example I have 2, 3, okay. So this particular value will be assigned to this variable, okay, for first iteration. Second iteration, this value will be assigned to this variable. Third iteration, this value will be assigned to this variable. So what are these variables? The type of these variables is integer, right? So that is why the type of the array that you declare, right? The elements that you store in an array, the type of element that you store in an array is specified using this particular data type. We know the syntax of declaring an array, right? The same type should be specified here, because individual elements will be assigned to this variable, and that variable we can use inside the for loop. Okay. So finally, as we have seen with this statement, switch statements, we can loop or we can nest loops as well. Okay, we can nest loops as well. Let us quickly see one example of enhanced for loop. Okay, so let us see one example, or let us make okay. I want this one always because okay. So let us declare. We can't use. Yeah, we can use the for loop with this string also, string array, because this is a string array, right? This is a string array. We can use that also. I think you pointed out that one when he mentioned about for loop, enhanced for loop or for each for loop. Okay. So what we can do, int a. So we know new int of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let us see how to. Sorry. Let us see how to use enhanced for loop or for each for loop. Int j. Okay. So yeah. Print I. Sorry, j. J. That's it. Okay. This is how simple this becomes. Otherwise, what we should have done? We should have done like for int I is equal to 0, I less than a dot length Okay, we know that the a dot length or array dot length will give you the number of elements in that array, right? And then we have to increment it, increment or decrement. Okay, then print a of I. Okay, fashion. Okay, sorry. Okay, here it has displayed a of I. Okay, a of I and j. We are printing a of I and j. Let us not waste time on this. So it is like this only. So it will print like this. Okay, when we execute this, same values, we'll get the same values, but it makes developers' life easier. Okay, making the statement is simpler. Okay, making the statement simpler, it makes typing easier. That's it. Okay, so it looks elegant also, right? So we can easily say that this is a collection of objects and of type A. So without seeing this one, we can say like, okay, we don't have any kind of like control statement at all, right? Control variable at all, like this. So what is this is used? This is not exactly a control variable. Whatever the value that is there, whatever the elements that are there in A, they are assigned to J in a sequential manner. Okay, in a sequentially. Okay, one of the other, that is 0th element first element, second element, third element, and fourth element. Okay, so here we have specified. We could have done here. We need not have to specify like this one. Okay, so a dot length, LENGTH. Okay, a dot length -1, because here what we can do this way also. Okay, greater than minus. So we can display in any way, right? We can display. I think it became infinite loop. Okay. Okay. So this way we can. I mean here. Okay, you can check this logic. So here what I meant was we can print it in any way. Okay, in this particular for loop, we can print the values in any way. Values of an array in any way, in any order you want to print. Okay, alternate numbers you want, first even numbers you want, and then odd numbers you want to print. You can do it in any way. But here it doesn't apply. So all those variations doesn't apply. What it does, it only prints even if you try to print 100 times, it will print first, second, third, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that order only, sequentially from 0 to 4th element. That is 5th element of an array. 1 to 5th element of an array. Okay, that is the difference between this particular enhanced for loop and this for loop, or you can say that is the restriction of this particular for loop, and this for loop can be applied only for collection of objects. Okay. For loop can be applied for only for collection of objects. Okay. So are there any other questions regarding these things? These are all very simple programs just to explain the concept. Okay. If you want, we can take up complicated programs and we can discuss on those things. But try experimenting with all these things, as I always tell. Okay. Try think of more and more logics. Try to implement those things. Okay. In our next class, I'll try to give some exercises so that you can try all this, whatever the things that we have discussed, right? So far, we can try those things. Okay. Okay. So, anyone has any question? Any doubts? Please let me know if anyone has any doubt. Okay. So not executing. A is greater than A dot length. Okay. But I decremented it, right? I decremented it, right, Kavita? I decremented I, right? Okay. Yeah, I don't want to think now. Already from morning I was working on a particular issue. So I am totally exhausted today. Okay. So that is what I mean. If you have any questions, we can continue. Otherwise, we can conclude this session. Okay. Really sorry, I'm totally exhausted today. So there was one particular issue. Okay, it is not related to Java. Just to tell, it is not related to Java. There was one particular application which is C and C++ application. Okay. So what was happening is we will take data. Okay, we'll take data from one of the upstream. There are two applications involved. One is the upstream data, application, and the other one is downstream application. Ours is downstream application. We get the data from upstream application, and then we process the data into database. Okay. So what was happening for particular set of records, the application was failing. Okay. Remember, this is C++ application. So what was happening is we were not getting any idea why it was happening. So we had to kind of like debug in a development environment by putting a lot of logs. So finally, I figured it one particular variable, right? It was getting, it is getting some junk value because of some multiple files involved. Okay, because of the junk value, one particular condition. So that is where this if else condition, switch, and all those things, right? This for loop, all those things become very, very important. They are very basics of your programming. Okay, so that is why you should be very strong in these things. A number of business logics will be there, all those things. So that is when because of that junk value, that was too huge. Because of the junk value, one particular condition was failing. Okay, and then the whole process was getting aborted because of the junk value. Okay, so all these things become very, very important. These are all basics, but you should know these things, these basics very well. Okay, so in our next class, we will take 5 to 10 minutes for jump statements. There are multiple statements like continue, exit, go to, and then there is a break statement. We have already seen break statement. We will try to do some examples how to use continue and break statements with loops and if statements, all those things, how to club those things and what are the results of those things, and then we will do bitwise operators and then operator precedence. Okay. Once that is done, we will jump into object-oriented programming. Okay, that will be a really interesting one. But I want all of you to spend some time during this weekend to brush up all the basics that we have discussed so far. Okay, I know most of you have are very good with these things, but I want you to do more and more programs so that you become very fluent in this basics. Okay, yeah. With that note, I would like to conclude this session. If you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll wind up the call. Okay, wind up the session. Anyone have any doubts, questions? So, do you all feel like I'm going very slow? Let me know. Okay, you can drop me an email. Intuitiontraining.com. Intuition Java training @gmail.com. Okay. No, there are no classes in weekends. We'll have classes only on weekdays. Okay, Kavita? There are no classes on weekends. Okay. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for attending the session. Have a great evening and a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much. Bye.